Every month I come back here and I tell you we are trying to just find some stability in the market, but we keep getting lower and lower. So I keep getting approached by people who are calling, scanning the code on the screen here, and just asking, is it even a good time to do anything in this market? Should you buy? Should you sell? So in this video, we're going to go over the numbers in Mississauga. What I'm going to do is at the end of the video, I'm going to break down to you who I think is really intended to make a move in this market, what really makes sense for you. And then we're going to talk about some of the advantages you can actually take in a market like this, or how much of a rush, if you're thinking of selling, you should actually put on that. Maybe you're thinking next year, maybe you should expedite that if we're just seeing things get lower and lower, depending on your situation. We'll cover that as the video goes on. First, we're going to start off with the overall picture in Mississauga. So June numbers here, this is encompassing everything. So from condos all the way to a detached home, your median price is $963. Last year at the same time, we were looking at $960 year to date, and $929 is where we are at year to date. So this month that just passed is better than our average when it comes to the year to date. Transactions were modestly down. So we're at 488 transactions. Last month we had 509. In the grand scheme of things, transaction-wise, we're down 21% though. So it's a pretty big drop-off. You can see here, 3374 versus 26. So 700 less transactions at the halfway point this year. Your median list price has not changed month over month, and it hasn't changed a ton year over year either. So median list price last year was $959, and now we're at $919. New listings, we're seeing as we approach summer, less listings are coming to the market. Last month we had just over 2,000 and we had 1,859 this past month. Last year at this point we had 7,800 and we're at 9,300. So we're seeing a lot more people who are trying to sell properties, but we are also seeing a lot less transactions happen. So we're seeing a combination between 21% less transactions happening and 20% more inventory. So we're 40+% in the down when it comes to trying to get deals done here. So more inventory, less transactions means less decisive buyers. You have more choice, it paralyzes the buyers is what we ultimately find. If you have 100 options out there, buyers just decide to sit there and wait because it leaves them more confused than anything else. One of the big categories that we need to talk about though is the terminations. 13% increase from last month, almost 1,000 terminations. Holy heck, man, that is just a lot of terminations. Look at last year. At this point, at the halfway point, we had 26, and at this point now, we're at 4,035. So a 52% increase in terminations, which means we cannot figure out what to list homes at more often than not, and sellers or agents, or a combination of both, are not able to present a sellable package with the listings that we have out there. So we are in turn just straight up terminating a listing and then relisting that property at a lower price, or doing some kind of price adjustment to give it a better overall look and feel with the package in terms of your price, your pictures, your media, all that fun stuff. But it's not nearly as easy to price a home right now because the sellers are having a hard time parting with any value that they thought they had in 2022, 3, 4, and now 2025, they're seeing it dwindle. Which is why we're seeing this hockey stick in a lot of the statistics, and it's really not fun to go and have a conversation with the seller and let them know, hey, your home is actually worth less than what you thought or what you even paid for it. These are conversations that are not exciting. It's part of real estate. Like everything else, you can buy something and it goes up in value and down in value. In this case, real estate has kept going down in value for a little while now. But let's get into the real numbers here on specific properties. This is going to be a little bit more of a detailed video. If you want to watch a certain segment of it, I'm going to break down every property type from condos to detached. But condos, we're going to start there because that is the one that most people are interested in, I feel like, because it is the most challenging market right now. Overall, condo market, it was last year at 590 year to date. We're at 547. Transactions, once again, we're down 28% compared to last year. When it comes to your new listings, we still are up 20% there. So a lot of the same trends. And then your terminations. So the trend is consistent here. The overall condo market is just not selling. Your days on market is now at 30 days. Last year it was 21 days on the market. So it's tough. If you have a condo right now and you want to sell it, you got to do everything possible. If you want to know how to sell a home in a difficult market, you can always watch the video. It'll be up in one of these two corners. But you need to price it well. It needs to be the best price in the building for that same product. You also have to have it staged well. You have to have the media done well. You have to have the advertising in play. You have to be speaking to the right buyer for that unit as well. Maybe it's a building that's designed for older clientele, retirees. Make sure your advertising and your staging and all of that is geared towards that type of buyer, because right now you can't just throw a listing on the market with the lowest price and think it's going to pan out. You have to check all the boxes when it comes to getting your property on the market to get it sold, at least. Now, one bedrooms in Mississauga, dare I show you, we are down from $520 last year to $461. So we've taken a $60,000 hit. So we're talking 11.2%. Transactions are down 35%. So 86 have only occurred this year. That's just over like 11 a month. And then 134 is what we were dealing with last year. New listings, we are up 32%. So we have a 67% swing on the one bedroom condo side of things. Really, really difficult. And then a 95% increase in terminations. Condos aren't selling. They're being terminated, relisted at lower and lower and lower prices. And buyers are not having it. Let's check the two bedrooms here. And we were at, on the two bedroom side of things, we're just loading here. So as we wait for the two bedrooms here to pop up, there we are. So $595 is where we were at last year. We're down to $544, so a $50,000 drop, 8.5%, 27% less transactions, 27% increase in inventory, and once again, a massive almost 70% increase in those terminations. When we're looking at month over month, like these numbers can change pretty forgivingly depending on the market we're in, but you know, 555 to 522, not a big difference. We're just talking about the year over year is really where that median comes into play for me. So condo opportunity is huge. You can see it here. The prices have come down 50K and almost 100K. It's worth considering a condo right now, but should you buy one? Only if it's a really, really good deal and you can see yourself living there for a longer period of time, or if it's going to be a staple in your investment portfolio. But there might be better investments out there for you that aren't even in real estate. All right, so condo townhouses from last year to this year, 809 down to 760, 6% drop off, 21% decrease in the actual transactions that are taking place. And of course, the inventory is going to be higher. So 16%. This is actually better than the other categories we just looked at. Terminations is also a consistent theme here. So we're seeing terminations just 51% up. It's a big number every single month. But condo townhouses getting in that 760 range, looking better and better every single month. Freehold townhouses, they're still going to be higher in the price side of things. They were $1,010,000, $960 now, so 50K less. Not as big a difference in price, only 5% drop off. In terms of our transaction volume, it's actually steady with last year, 92 versus 95. Inventory, we have an increase of about 70 units, so not crazy amount, but it's still 30%. Terminations, this is a little bit better. I mean, it's still 40% increase, but not as many of these are having to be relisted and adjusted on the price side of things. Semi-detached has been that steady for Mississauga. Let's see if it's still holding still here when we're getting our semi-detached numbers. So we have, once again, only seen a 4% reduction. That's actually pretty good compared to the overall market. So from $1,022,000 to $977,000. 11.7 is the reduction in transaction volume, not horrible, and then 27% increase in new listing volume. And then terminations, still a big issue. People are having a hard time pricing a semi-detached as well. To finish it off, the detached category here, last year we were at 1.4, we're at 1,347, so a $50,000 difference, only 3%. So when we're looking at year over year, detached has actually held better than the other categories. We do have a reduction of 22% on the transaction side of things, an increase of 18% on the new listings volume, so from 28 to 3,300. And overall, we do have some issues on pricing a detached home as well. We're seeing here 54%, but those are the categories and how they break down. And a couple of the calls that I'm getting recently are more along the lines of, I own a home, I want to sell that home and maybe move up. Should I even do it? The market's not great. Like, I see every single month a video from you and the numbers are getting lower and lower. And yes, that's true. The numbers are getting lower and lower. But if you're already in the real estate market and maybe you have some equity in your property, you're not selling at a loss, God forbid, it might make sense for you to sell right now and buy something, because you're going to also get a deal when you buy. You're going to be able to negotiate. You can see here how much the inventory is, you know, hard to move, we'll say, in today's market compared to what it was last year. So it might be reasonable to say you can sell and then buy. However, you want to make sure you do one of those before the other. You don't want to, in today's market, go and buy a home first. You might get advised, hey, you don't want to make a move until you find the perfect home. But if you buy today, before you sell, you can see how long the days on market are for a lot of these places. It's taking a long time to sell a home. And if you can't afford to, I would personally be trying to sell my home first with a longer closing date, knowing that the inventory is up, and then I can go negotiate and find a home that works for me and my family. Now, on the flip side, if you're just buying your first home, you're not worried about selling, you got to be really careful, because we are trying to catch a falling sword or falling knife, or whatever you want to use analogy. So the market is getting worse month over month, yes. But if you can see yourself living in a property for 5-10 years, then it's less of an issue, as long as you need that roof over your head. But if you could potentially rent for less on the short term and continue to use that money to invest elsewhere, that might make sense, especially if you're just a single individual. Getting into real estate might not be the best play right now for your first home. But all of that is going to be situation based. You can always scan the link here, book a call with me, we can talk about it. And if you want some steps to walk you through buying your first home, maybe you haven't gotten there yet, or you just want to figure out, like, what is my next step, you can click this video. That's a full buyer's guide. It's a long one. It's 26 minutes, but watch that video. That'll take you through steps A to Z. Should leave you with no unanswered questions. If you have any unanswered questions, you can always book a call after that. But if you're thinking of selling, maybe you're like that other person who talked to me this week, trying to figure out, like, sell first, buy first, sell it all, wait. You watch this one. This is going to give you a little bit more guidance on how to sell your property right now in a difficult market, and what not to do. Like, don't go buy first. That's a real crucial point of this whole thing, because you can really get stuck with 2 mortgages, and most people, they can barely afford one. Let's be real. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.